everyone, welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rutan, and this is a Blue Collar Wine Show where I help you spend your wine dollars wisely. One of my viewers, David Romulo, I love David. He's a great supporter of my channel. He makes a lot of comments. I really appreciate it, David. Thank you very much. He said you have to do a Best Wines with Super Bowl food episode, and I totally agree. Now, in the past, I've had all the food out here. I'm not going to do that only because, you know, it gets kind of a little messy and yeah, you get it. I hope you do. Anyway, but I pulled this up because I want to give you a general idea. All of you probably know this, but what is the most consumed food in the Super Bowl? In other words, what do people buy? Number one, wings. Now, you know what I'm talking about, chicken wings. And a lot of people put like buffalo sauce on them, some spicy stuff. Some people just not too spicy depending on your taste. And 1.47 billion wings are expected to be consumed during this Super Bowl. 1.47 billion wings. That's incredible. Pizza, 12.5 million pizzas will be sold during the Super Bowl. Anticipation. Cheese, about 88 million pounds of cheese will be consumed during the Super Bowl. And then there's a dips for buffalo wings, a ranch dip, etc., etc. Get the idea? Isn't that incredible? 1.4 billion. Crazy stuff. Now, the other thing is guacamole dip. Big consumption of guacamole dip. They anticipate about 139 million pounds of avocados are purchased specifically for making guacamole dip for the big game. They figure 150 tons of avocados are typically shipped out of Mexico for the Super Bowl. Anyway, huge stuff, right? I mean, isn't that crazy? And then this one says that as far as guacamole dip, they expect about 8 million pounds of guacamole to be consumed during the Super Bowl. That's amazing stuff. Now, Super Bowl 60, Seahawks versus New England Patriots. I am a Seahawks fan, obviously where I live. I've been a Seahawks fan since their expansion way back in the day. My mom, our whole family used to watch the Seahawks play back then. And now here they are. And we are fortunate in our area to have the Seahawks return to the Super Bowl several times in the last 20 years. Crazy. So here they are again. They're about to face the New England Patriots. My prediction for the game is Seahawks 38. Patriots 21. What do you do with these spicy kind of foods? Some of them are rich, like I do a Velveeta cheese dip. Everybody loves it. I make it every year. My wife's not such a big fan of it, but it's very good. Chili cheese dip, not healthy for you, but who cares? It's one time a year that you eat this stuff. So all this spicy kind of interesting food that's served during the Super Bowl, cheese would be obvious wine food. And I used to say, you know, you should drink wine during the Super Bowl, but you are wine people. That's why you're watching this channel. Of course you're going to drink wine during the Super Bowl. So what are you going to drink with all these foods? Well, I just think one of the great wines to have with Super Bowl food, because it's a little bit neutral, doesn't have a ton of acidity, you know, that spicy food might conflict a little bit with that acid. Now, you want a little bit of acid with any rich foods you eat, but overall I think Pinot Grigio or Gris would be a good call. And I chose this 2024 L'État Creek Pinot Grigio. It's Washington State wine. Of course, we need to do a Washington State wine. This is from Yakima Valley, Den Hode Vineyard, very famous vineyard in the Yakima Valley. I said 2024. This rolls in at $12. So a really good price. If you're having a party, you don't want to spend a ton of money on the wine. And this is, I've tried this, brought it in just recently. I like this Pinot Gris. So let's give it a try here. Let's see what it's all about. Spicy food, some not so spicy, some a little bit richer. You have a whole gamut of things, and cheese. Of course, I wonder if they count Velveeta as cheese, right? Is that really cheese? Okay, color on this is a little bit golden, but yeah, just a little hint of gold, maybe a little copper penny thing going on. Let's see what we get on the nose. So pear, apple, usually what you get on a Pinot Grigio or Gris from Washington State. Yakima is a little hotter climate, but they have some pockets of cooler spots there. I'm just going to call it pear and apple. Very nice nose on this. Let's see what we get on the palate. Yeah, I'm going to say pear dominant. Really nice flavors. I mean, this is really a delicious Pinot Grigio. They call it Grigio. I'm going to put it more in the Gris category. Grigio is usually Italian, a little leaner. This has a nice richness to it. This would be perfect. Even a touch of sweetness, which is okay. I don't mind that. Sweet pears, ripe pears. Perfect for those spicier dishes. Avocado dip can go either way. It can be not so spicy or spicy depending on the person making it and your palate, what you like. This is a beauty, really. Just a little bit of residual sugar gives it that delicious factor. I think it's a perfect white wine for the Super Bowl snacks. We call it snacks. Well, it ends up being a meal because I know that after the Super Bowl, I don't eat anything else besides that stuff that we ate. Beauty. I'm even getting a little bit of kind of an orange peel on the back end, but this is a nice Pinot Gris. Perfect match for Super Bowl food. $12, and I believe Latah Creek is fairly easy to get. Okay. Now, as far as red wines, I definitely believe you need something juicier, something a little fruit. You know, heading towards that fruit forward side because of the meal and what it involves. So, I decided to go with the Whoop Whoop Shiraz 2022. Now that's perfect. How many people are going to be whooping it up during the Super Bowl? Spelled a little bit differently, but you get the idea. A little play on words there. This I have at the store for $10. It's from South Australia. Sad to say that, you know, Australian wines are struggling a little bit. I don't think they should be struggling. Just get away from that Yellowtail, Jacob's Creek, you know, Lindemann's thing. As far as red wines, they tend to be a little bit too, Kool-Aid-like. Color on this is really dark, which you'd expect on a Shiraz. Sorry, Barb and Kathy, I don't have time to do the board today. Anyway, fairly dark. Shiraz, Syrah, as they call it. In South Africa, and in Australia, we call it Shiraz. I think came from Croatia. They might have called it Shiraz there. Anyway, we call it Syrah. Same grape. Let's see what we get on those. I get that classic. There's a little eucalyptus on this. Not unusual for Australia. They have a lot of eucalyptus trees there. I'm getting a lot of currant notes on this one. Some dark cherry notes. There's some spice elements coming through. Let's see what we get on the palate. It's nice and fruity, not over the top. People that are, you know, into wine might say, well, I don't want something too goopy. But this is not goopy, but it has enough fruit to match up to and the tannins are refined, kind of lighter style tannins on this one. They're not super grippy, which would certainly be something you don't want to do with something spicy. It's $10, perfect party wine. Whoop Whoop, perfect name. And I really like this wine. The currant notes come through on it. The tannins are mild. Got the dark cherry notes coming through as well. And you have that eucalyptus that kind of lies underneath and comes out on the finish. Not overpowering, but it's there. And some people might say, Stan, thank you for telling me what that flavor profile is. It's eucalyptus. It's definitely there. And this would be perfect. And it'd be really interesting to see how this eucalyptus element that comes through with the dark cherries and the currants and the light tannins, how that affects the flavors of the food that you're eating. Because you're eating a buffalo wing, dipping it in buffalo sauce or ranch dip. I think it'd be a really cool play with those things, with that little hint of eucalyptus coming through. I'm gonna go B minus. I'm gonna go B minus on both of these. They're both really solid wines. I'm going B minus on the Latah Creek Pinot Grigio because, you know, that residual sugar for those of you that want a really dry wine, but I don't think a dry wine is going to work for you at the Super Bowl. Some might, I'd even be willing to go with Riesling during the Super Bowl, as long as it's not a dry Riesling, if you want to go that direction. Now, the second red I chose is the Thurston Wolf 2022 JTW'S blend from Horseheaven Hills, Washington. This rolls in at $15. And the reason I chose this is it's 50% Zin and then 50% Cab. And if memory serves me correctly, the Zin really comes through on this one. And I think Zin is a good, very good call for the Super Bowl food. If you want to just go straight up Zinfandel, that would be a good choice as well. Thurston Wolf, I love this winery. Washington State wine, again, Washington State, Washington State, we have to represent, because the Seahawks are going to be there. A little clear, not as dark as the Shiraz. Let's see what we get on those. So, yeah, it has that classic, to me, that classic Zinfandel nose. Ripe currants, a little bit of chocolate coming through on this one. Some spice elements as well, which I really think is very cool. Yeah, definitely some baking spices, which is, I like that a lot. Okay, let's see what we get on the palate. So once again, smooth, polished tannins. You want it too tannic of a wine, especially when you start getting into the spicier foods. This has nice, full-bodied, fruit-forward wine, but not over the top fruit-forward. I really like this wine. It has an interesting kind of an iron component coming out on the finish, but big currant and dark currant and cherry notes with that baking spice coming through on the back end on the finish. The Cab gives it a little structure, but the tannins are still very smooth. I just like this. It's very juicy, very nice fruit. Perfect match for the Super Bowl food that you're going to be consuming there. And the price is very good, $15. I always like that about Thurston Wolf. They make some super quality wines at very reasonable prices. So $15, I am going to go B+ on that wine. I think it's very well made, just right for the Super Bowl. I like those, the baking spices kind of, hang on the finish. I really like that. So, your team wins the Super Bowl. You might want to pop some bubbles to celebrate that. Or some of you may want to just drink bubbles through the whole thing. And bubbles are fine. They work good. The acidity of the bubbles would break through some of the fattier foods that you're eating, perhaps. If it's too dry of a sparkling wine, don't match that up with the spicy food. But we're going to try the... This is a non-vintage Cordon Cava collection, the ARS collection it says? ARS collection Cordon sparkling wine Cava Brut. Now, I suggest Cava because of the price point. You can get some really good Cavas at a very reasonable price point. This one can fall anywhere between $13 and $16, depending on the... if you buy it by the case, whoever, the store you go to. But Cordon is a fairly good producer, a really good producer actually, of Cava. I have several Cavas that I like a lot. I just got in the Cune Cava store. We're going to pop this right now because some of you may wait until it's all over, and that's fine. I know we'll probably pop some bubbles after the Seahawks win the game. There you go. That's the thing about any given Sunday, right? I mean, I think the Seahawks are really good this year. They're probably one of the best, well, they might be the best team in the NFL right now. The Patriots are really good. Their quarterback is awesome. But we'll see what happens. Darnold has been really stepping up to the plate. So let's bring a champagne cup. Here, very golden in color. You can see that right through there, very golden. Not too big of a mousse on this one, or the bubble, the foam around it a little bit. Let's see what we get on the nose. This again, an apple pear, very similar to the Pinot Grigio, the L'État Creek. A little bit of, I get some like hazelnut, filbert things on the nose. Now, you guys aren't going to be analyzing the wine. I doubt it, seriously. But you might want to, you certainly want to enjoy it. You don't want to put some crap in your mouth, right? Let's see what we get on the palate. It's a beauty in the mouth. I mean, you got that pear and apple notes that come through. Just a hint of citrus, not a lot, so it won't be too much. It has some, a little bit of a fruit. The fruit is a little bit riper, which is good because you want, if you are drinking this with the food that you're eating, you know, it would be good. But this is classic cava, very well made. You know, they do everything method champenois or method traditional. Method traditional mash. And it's like just a fraction of the price of a champagne. Classic cava. There's a little bit of a lemon peel notes that come through on the finish. Very good sparkling wine. Great way to celebrate your team's victory. So, there you go. I am going to go straight up B on the Cordon Bleu. I think it's a great cava. There's a lot of good cavas out there at reasonable prices. So, you know, these are the ones I would suggest. Anything close to these would be very good to have with the Super Bowl food. Thanks for taking a little time of your day. I say I hope your team wins. I want the Seahawks to win, of course. I know there's some New England Patriot fans out there that would love to see them win. We'll see what happens. I certainly know may the best team win. You keep watching, and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely.